Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Classic Wrestling Cast. Joining me, as always, is Aaron Steinberg from the Comic Book Show. We're doing our No Mercy predictions this week. How's it going?
It is going pretty great. Let me tell you, I'm really excited for No Mercy. This card is really interesting to me. There are a number of matches that I think are going to be awesome. But as you mentioned, you wanted to talk about something at the start that I think really bears for some conversation.
Sure, yeah. So I believe Sunday, I think it was, we got news that legendary manager, announcer, just wrestling personality Bobby the Brain Heenan had passed away, and it's super sad. I just remember watching a lot of the stuff in the '80s where he was like Andre the Giant's manager, and I think it was the '90s where he was managing Ric Flair for a while in WWF. And then Monday Nitro, he made it watchable pretty much because the other two announcers generally were very serious. He added a little bit of like comedy to it, and probably like best manager ever, one of the best announcers I could think of as well.
Yeah, for sure, the best manager ever. I think a lot of times in wrestling, we like to talk about the best this, the best that, or the best in-ring performer, or the best promo. But I think that beyond a shadow of a doubt, Bobby the Brain Heenan is the best all-around, I guess you would call it, performer in professional wrestling history. Um, just Joey Image said it. He was a legend with a capital L, um, and that's true. Me and my wife, we've been watching a lot of primetime wrestling, which was the show he did with Gorilla Monsoon, and just he Bobby the Brain Heenan was just absolutely incredibly talented. He was a genius. He just knew all the right things to say, and like to me, he was the perfect heel. He was a heel without being overbearing because like when I'm going through and I'm watching Raws, and I pretty much started from like 94, 95, and now I'm up to 97. And one of the things that I noticed is that heel Jerry Lawler is just so intense and so overbearing and just so obnoxious that sometimes it can get in the way of the enjoyment. But Bobby the Brain Heenan was so like I don't know, there was just something about him that he was so effective at being a heel, but without being too much. You know
Yeah,
what
it's
I
like
mean?
it's like I'm not gonna say very subtle, but more subtle than I think a lot of heel announcers or just general heels are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
He was
watched some of the primetime stuff as well, and it was just the chemistry like they both had was just amazing.
yeah, Bobby the Brain Heenan, just the best manager, probably the best announcer, and just best overall personality and performer in the history of wrestling. And when he didn't wrestle often, but when he did, it was always entertaining as hell.
Agreed. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that briefly at the top of the show. We're gonna jump into our predictions for No Mercy. So I guess we're just working our way from the bottom here. So we have our first match is our Intercontinental title match with The Miz and of course the Miztourage versus Jason Jordan. Don't know if this is gonna be a pre-show. Kind of hope not, but usually on the pages it'll indicate if it's a pre-show match or not. Not really saying that, but um, I think it'll be an excellent match. Odds are definitely stacked against Jason Jordan because he got Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel out there, as well as Maurice too.
Yeah. This is going to be a great match. I mean, how long have we been talking, or at least me, have I been talking about just how fantastic The Miz has been? I think he's the best heel in WWE right now. Um, and this was an interesting match. I was super scared that he was going to be left off the card, just like he was for SummerSlam. So I was really worried, and I haven't gotten to watch last night's Raw yet, or Monday night's Raw because I just have been so busy with school. So I guess that's when they added this match. But this is really intriguing. Jason Jordan, in the ring, he's awesome. His personality, not so much. But I really like this kind of ongoing narrative they have with Jason Jordan, where he's telling, he's Kurt Angle's bastard child now, basically. And he's telling him, look, I know I'm your son, but I don't want any special treatment. Yet he's getting these huge matches going up against John Cena, Roman Reigns, and now he's getting Intercontinental Championship match against The Miz. And this could be really good. And the way, if we're going to put our fantasy booking hats on here, the way I could see this being a really interesting storyline is if Jason Jordan wins. And what do you have from there? You have The Miz coming out saying, "Who are you, Jason Jordan? You're no one. You've had everything handed to you by Kurt Angle." And I think that would be a really interesting storyline. And I think you got to put Jason Jordan in a story up against someone who has the promo skills, who has the charisma, someone who can make this story or the character development interesting because Jason Jordan just doesn't have that skill by himself. Um,
Yeah,
so
that could be interesting because you give Jason Jordan a pretty big push. You maybe give the title back to the Miz later on,
yeah,
but you have this, like you said, he comes out. He's like, "Who do you think you are? I've worked like every day for the last however many years to get this title, and you and basically just say that you won on a fluke, and that kind of stuff."
exactly.
Or
And
like
that
everything was handed to you. You basically that wasn't supposed to happen, and he's like, or just like you got lucky, but you won't get lucky again. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that could be really good because that's when Miz is at his best when he's accusing other people of, being handed everything and how he's a delusional heel. And he does some of his best work when he's in that mode. So I think that could be a really, really good story. So my prediction is going to be based on that. I'm going to say that Jason Jordan is going to pull off the win here.
I could see that, and maybe even have it be something like a. I mean, I don't really like roll up finishes, but maybe something like a quick, not a quick count, but like a quick. He rolls him up, gets pinned, and then wins the title. And it's not like a dominant win where he like hits his finisher and it's like misses out. Is just
Yeah,
like struggling to get out of the pin but can't, or something like that.
yeah, and I think that would be a really good way to kind of develop the story of Jason Jordan doesn't deserve these things. He won on a fluke. He can't beat me. He's just getting all. He doesn't have the skill. He's just getting all of the this special treatment because he's Kurt Angle's son. I think that could be a really good way to move forward. Now, here's the caveat though, Mike. Because it's a good idea, that means there's a pretty good chance it's not going to happen.
Right.
Because we know how WWE likes to do things. But
Right. With that being said, though, I still would like to see it go the way that you predicted, or just have Jason Jordan win because he definitely needs kind of like a push at this point.
yeah. And you know what I would love for this to lead to is the eventual match between Jason Jordan and Angle. I think if you can use this as some sort of stepping stone to that, maybe a little tension builds between heel heel Jason Jordan and Kurt Angle. I think that would be a really good way to kind of get a money WrestleMania match because I want to see Kurt Angle wrestle again. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I've got my money on Jason Jordan on this, and I think there's probably going to be some shenanigans happening. I
Or
don't
at least
know.
attempted shenanigans by the Miz and his group.
Right, and I could see like the Miz Taraj trying to help, but it ends up backfiring because I don't think you want to give Jason Jordan a clean as a whistle, middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3 win. Um, I wouldn't want to do that right now because it just seems not over the Miz at least over the Intercontinental Champion. So
Right.
uh, yeah, I think you had a good idea
All right. So we're moving to our next match here. We have our women's championship match. So we have Alexa Bliss as the champion versus Sasha Banks versus Bayley versus Nia Jax versus Emma in a fatal five way for the women's championship. And apparently, so that was it. SummerSlam. Alexa loses the title, wins it back shortly afterward.
there. It was like the next Monday.
Yeah, or something like that. And then like a week or two later at the most, Nia Jackson comes out and celebrating with Alexa Bliss, and then basically like turns on her. I don't know if she's turned face or heel, but just they broke up essentially. And then you're throwing Emma and Bayley in there as well as oh yeah, Emma and Bayley, and then Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, and Alexa Bliss. Um, I at this point I don't want to see another a women's title change that quick. Kind of
Yeah.
repeating what happened last summer with Charlotte and Sasha Banks, where it was just trading the title for like from like July until like October.
Yeah. I'll just say, this is not good. It's not good, Mike. I don't know what this obsession is with giving Sasha Banks the title and not allowing her to hold it for any extended
I
period of
think I
time.
read something yesterday when I was like doing a little bit of research on this that she's actually like never successfully defended it.
No, she hasn't. She's
So every
lost.
time she wins it, and then the match where she's defending it, she loses it. I mean, this is mostly back into when she was fighting with Charlotte. So she won it at won it on a random Raw, in July of last year. Lost it at SummerSlam. Won it back like a few weeks later. Lost it again at whatever pay per view it was, and then lost it again at Hell in a Cell. And
Yeah,
so it's just it's just weird that like as soon as she gets it, her next match she automatically loses it.
yeah. I don't really understand the reasoning for not giving her a respectable title reign. Furthermore, why is she still a face? Like Sasha Banks' character sucks right now.
Yeah, it's just she's. I don't know if they're like teasing a face turn, but it seems like if they are, it's been really long, like several months at this point.
Oh, you mean a heel turn?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's what I meant. Yeah, so it looks like she's a face, but it looks like she's constantly acting like a heel, doing these like weird promos and stuff like that. And then they're not actually turning her heel, but it's just it's been going on for several months. So I'm not sure if they're actually ever going to do it because we both know that she's better off as a heel if you like look at her like NXT stuff and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess her stuff with Team Bad was a heel as well, but that wasn't. She was a better heel in NXT than she is
Yeah, she
now.
she she hasn't been the legit boss um since she debuted on the main roster. She just hasn't. And
Right.
it's sad. Um and I think, Mike, I think if you go back and listen to every episode of the show that we've done, how many, like, I'm pretty sure every time she's been in a pay-per-view match, we've said, "All right, now is the perfect opportunity to turn her heel. Do this, do that, have her turn on Bailey in this way and that way." And the streak of us saying that is not going to end for No
Right.
Mercy
Um.
because
Yeah. So I'm actually going to say that again this time because there's five women in the ring. Women in the ring. There's going to be a lot of not confusion, but a lot of like temporary alliances being formed and stuff like that. And maybe Bailey ends up accidentally costing Sasha the title, and then Sasha just like flips out.
yeah, that's what I can
My
see too.
prediction though overall is that Alexa Bliss retains because I mainly because I don't want to see a title change again after like 2 weeks or however long it's been.
Yeah,
But I can see um, Bailey potentially caught. Bailey's the big face in this match, so Bailey maybe screws over Sasha, not intentionally, but Sasha doesn't care, and it's like after the match is over, attacks her and turns heel. Um, that probably won't happen, but we'll just make that. I'll make that prediction anyway because it seems to be what we do when we talked about Sasha Banks, like you mentioned earlier.
yeah, pretty much every time. So I can see the a Sasha Banks heel turn happening in a couple of ways. Um, I don't think this will happen, but if they wanted Sasha to win, they could have her pin Bailey. But I don't think that's going to happen. But that is a way it could happen.
Yeah, and
Um,
I don't really know if that would make it be a heel turn because she's just like, well, they could still get out of making that a heel turn by
yeah,
basically being like, "Hey, we're both friends. It's all every woman for themselves, and you just happen to be the one I pinned." I don't know.
yeah. So there's that. Then you could do just like you said. Bailey accidentally hits Sasha, causes her to take a loss. Then at the end of the match, just beats her up. Or you could have, and this is what the way that I think would be um, most interesting is you have Bailey take the pin. And who pins her? I'll get to that in a second. But you have Bailey take the pin, and because Bailey quote unquote lost the match, that means Sasha cannot win it. And I think after having Bailey eat the pin, then you have Sasha go to Bailey, who's already beaten up, and just lay into her. I think that would be really interesting,
Or act like she's gonna help her up, and she does, and then just to slam
just
her
to
back,
knock her down. Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. Now, as far as I don't think Emma, as much as I would love to see Emma as the champion, I don't. I think she's probably just there to take the pin. Um, Now, as far as who wins this match, I have two theories in my head. One, Alexa Bliss takes or wins the match because I love Alexa Bliss and she's fantastic. She's just a really good champion. Her character is so well defined. She puts on good matches. She's really good. The other thought that I have, and I think this is more plausible, is Nia Jax to win. And the reason why is because a couple weeks ago on Raw, they showed a vignette showing that Asuka is coming to Raw. So I feel like you give Nia Jax the title, build Nia Jax up as this unstoppable monster. Who can beat Nia Jax? Who's going to do it? Even though both Bayley and Sasha Banks have already beaten Nia Jax, but that's neither here nor there. Um, WWE treats us like we have no long-term memory and can't remember anything. So they can build up Nia Jax as this unstoppable monster, and the only person that can prevent or that can end her title reign is Asuka. And that would be a really cool way to introduce her, like, oh, I'm Nia Jax, who no one here has what it takes to beat me. I'm this, I'm not your monster, as her
Or
intro.
I've been the champion for however many months. I don't know if they have like a timeline on when
Or even
Asuka's supposed to
the
get
next
there,
day.
but
Or even the next day, she comes out on Raw and says, "Look, I beat 4 other women. No one can beat me." Who comes out? Asuka, and whoops her up. I think that's probably the story they're going with here, um, and I see that happening. So I think Nia Jax is
all
gonna
right.
win this match. As much as I would love to see Alexa Bliss retain, and just continue to be awesome, I think Nia Jax is going to win. And I say that because I don't like Nia Jax very much. But really, the only people who have been good in this match as of recently is Alexa Bliss and Emma. Sasha Banks just has not been good since her main roster debut. Even worse than that, Bayley has just been god awful since she debuted. So I really think that who I want to win is Alexa Bliss, but I feel like Nia Jax is going to win, and they'll use that as a springboard for Asuka's debut in that feud.
All right, cool. So yeah, I'll say that I'll predict Alexa, and you're going with Nia Jax. Going to move into our cruiserweight title match. We have Neville versus Enzo Amore for the cruiserweight title. So look, he got transferred over to 205 Live,
Yeah, have
which
you watched much of 205 Live, Mike?
not really. I've really had a whole lot of time to watch almost like anything except for like highlights and clips and pay-per-views.
Because here's the deal: I started very recently. I would say in the past 3 or 4 weeks watching 205 Live, and it is consistently the best hour of WWE programming, not including NXT because I don't really watch that so much anymore. Um, but 205 Live is really good. It's really fun. They tell awesome stories, and the matches are booked, and the stories are consistently booked well. So it's actually really interesting to see this little, this little pocket of WWE programming that seems to be mostly unaffected by all the other weirdness that you get in your Raws and your SmackDowns.
Yeah,
Um,
I've seen like highlights and clips from some of the stuff, and I've seen a couple matches, like just like parts of matches on like YouTube, and they look like they're actually like cruiserweight matches sometimes. Because when
yeah,
cruiserweights were on Raw, it was like, oh, the cruiserweights are coming out. It's gonna be a high flying match, and then it's like usually not.
yeah.
Or
205.
back when they were on Raw or SmackDown, it was just um not what you would think of when you watch a cruiserweight match. And then some of the stuff I've seen, at least like the bits of pieces I've seen from 205 Live on like YouTube or like Twitter and all that, look like you would it's actually a cruiserweight match.
Yeah. So if you have the network and you've got an hour, or 45 minutes, whatever the length is, to sit down and watch some wrestling, 205 Live is a really good option. Now, that being said, I am super excited for this match. Um, I think Enzo Amore, he was really doing nothing, and I think he really has a chance to solidify the cruiserweight division as something worth watching. And I think this will be a good match because honestly, Neville can do 98% of the work in this match, and it will, it could still be a very good match because Neville is just that good. It's just Neville. Um, Neville has been a absolutely fantastic cruiserweight champion. Um, he's been so good. So I don't know if I want to see Enzo Amore win here because like Enzo Amore hasn't proven himself and Neville has. He's the king of the cruiserweights. So to me, from a booking perspective, it would be so weird to have Neville this monster heel for all intents and purposes, because it's basically what he is. He's been a dominant, maybe not a monster heel, but a dominant heel is probably the better way to describe him. You've got a dominant heel who has just been tearing through the competition. Austin Aries, Akira Tozawa having these great matches and just, winning for the most part, because Akira Tozawa won the championship and then Neville won it back for some unknown reason.
Yeah, because I think he won it back at, like right before
Yeah,
one of the other pay-per-views that we did, and then he lost it again.
yeah. Um, so to me, it would seem weird to have Enzo Amore, this newcomer who's never really won anything. I don't even think he had an NXT Tag Team Championship.
No,
Uh,
yeah, I don't think him and Cass ever had that. From
no,
what I remember them saying on, this is before they broke up, of course, but
yeah,
mentioned that they never had it. I think we predicted that they would win it at one point, but they never did.
yeah. So it would just, you know what I mean? Like, it would be weird for Enzo Amore, who's really has never proven himself in the ring, um, to beat Neville. But I can see them doing that because you want your flagship of the cruiserweight division to kind of be able to be a character, to be charismatic. And I've said this before, and I still think it's true. I think the to me the characters, the stories, and the promos are more important than the wrestling itself. Like, I come for the characters and I stay for the wrestling. That's just my headspace when I'm watching WWE programming. So I think if they put the belt on Enzo, they could have that flagship champion for the cruiserweight division, and they could tell some really awesome stories. But it would seem a little weird. Um, so
It could be like a really good, like maybe it's like again like a quick fluke kind of win where he like gets a roll up or something like that. I don't necessarily want to see that twice in one night if they do that with Jason Jordan, but they could do something like that where he just surprises him, or maybe Neville doesn't take him seriously enough and then
yeah,
ends up losing.
another way they could do it is you could have a Bret Hart Stone Cold type of situation where Neville does win, but Enzo takes him to the limit, and you get that image of Stone Cold and the sharpshooter bleeding from the face.
From WrestleMania, what was it like
I don't
14? No, not 14. It was, I think it was like 13 or something.
Yeah, I don't recall
Where
off the top.
basically, yeah, ended up being a double turn because like Stone Cold, everybody was like, "All right, Stone Cold, you're pretty badass for
Yeah,
not giving up. You're gonna be a face now, essentially."
yeah. So I don't think they're gonna have a double turn here, but
No,
you
I
could
don't
do
think so.
that same type of thing where you show Enzo as the never give up type. He doesn't tap out. He's the scrappy underdog that keeps coming back, and Neville just beats him so bad that they have to stop the match. Because in that way, you don't you're still creating sympathy for the face character. So I think that's another route they could take.
Yeah, like what was the one Sami Zayn match they did? Was it like him and
Owens. It
Braun
was Kevin.
Strowman where they ended up stopping the match, but it still ended up getting Sami Zayn more over his face because he didn't give up.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
But
forgot
then,
about
but then they
the.
did the one match where it was you have to last for however many minutes, and he did that. So he beat
Yeah,
Braun Strowman, or not beat Braun Strowman, but he basically like passed the time limit that was necessary. But then there was one where Mick Foley stopped the match.
yeah.
Like
So
I think like from last summer or something like that. But it built up like sympathy for Sami Zayn because you're like, okay, he didn't lay down the Braun Strowman. He could have just like easily like taken one of the power slams and just like not kicked out. But he didn't. He kept through the match until it got stopped.
yeah.
So
So I
maybe that happens here. Maybe Enzo just gets beaten up so bad that he kicks out of pretty much everything, or doesn't tap out if he gets it in a submission hold, and then the referee's just like, all right, I think you've had enough. Or kind of
yeah
like what was the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens match from NXT where
yeah where he
Sami
was
Zayn
allowed to
got
just
power
power
bombed like
bomb.
4 times and he's just like, it's done.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a route they could take, and I think that would be a good route to take because you show Neville as the dominant heel that he is. You show Enzo as the scrappy underdog who never gives up, and you elevate both characters in that way. So I feel like that would be a really good way to, and that doesn't happen too often. So when it does happen, it's really powerful. So I think that would be a good way to have this match, and then you could continue the feud, and then maybe have Enzo or win the next match.
Yeah, I think Neville still retains the title, but then also they build Enzo up as more of a this guy generally like doesn't look like he's like very like tough in the ring. This match makes him look better, pretty much.
Yeah, so I think that's what's going to happen. I think Neville retains, but it does so in a way where it builds sympathy for Enzo. I don't think it's going to be a clean as a whistle 1 2 3. I think there's going to be I'm going to go out on the limb and say it's going to be a ref stoppage, like we said. Bret Hart, Stone Cold, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn type thing, where he's just going to get beaten so bad that the ref's going to have to stop the match and declare Neville the victor. That's a bold out there prediction, but I think that's what's going to happen.
All right, sounds good. We'll go with that one. Next up, we have a rematch from SummerSlam. We have Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. So Finn Balor won the last one. I don't know if they're going to want to trade wins, but I don't. I honestly really don't care that much about this match.
No, and the weird thing
I
is
mean,
that
Finn
it's just
Balor.
a
I really like Finn Balor, but like what was the thing? So last time he got attacked, got all like the blood poured on him, came out as a demon. I'm like, all right, there's no way he's losing as a demon, and then
right.
beats Bray Wyatt. Maybe does he come out as just Finn Balor this time, to where he can possibly not win? I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, like, it's like they hit the reset button on this feud, because you had before SummerSlam you had Bray Wyatt win, and then the whole blood thing, and then you had Finn Balor win at SummerSlam. So it feels like this, typically they do like a best of 3 or a best of 5. Um, so it feel like this would be that third kind of blow off match, but usually the match to end a feud has some sort of stipulation. It's a no holds barred match. It's in a cage. It's it's a ladder match.
It's a
It's
hardcore
something,
match, something else.
right,
Yeah.
something interesting to say this is the ultimate match of this feud. But this is a regular singles match. So I feel like maybe they're hitting the reset button on the feud and just starting all over again. Um, so
I really don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing Bray Wyatt take a win, but then even whenever they give him a little bit of momentum, it just immediately it's taken away.
yeah, and it's weird to me that Bray or not Bray Wyatt, Finn Balor is nowhere near the Universal Championship scene.
Yeah,
Like,
considering that he was the first Universal Champion for like a day, but
yeah, and he doesn't look. Finn Balor is like 35 years old. He's got some gas left in the tank, but not a ton. So the clock is really ticking for the WWE to make as much money off of Finn Balor as possible, and this is not the way to do it, if you ask me personally. Um,
no, I think they should. I mean, put him in the put him in the Universal Title picture at least. I mean, like I said, he won the title last year SummerSlam, got injured during the match, vacated it, and then Kevin Owens had it, and then it went to Kevin Owens to Goldberg to Brock Lesnar. Um, I this match I honestly don't know. I mean, I guess I'll say Finn Balor. I guess
okay, I
I don't
think
know.
I think Bray Wyatt. So we'll
Yeah,
have opposing predictions here. I think Bray Wyatt, if for no other reason than they're extending the feud. And if I don't think you want to have Bray Wyatt win the feud, so if you have Bray Wyatt win this match, you can then have Finn Balor win the next match, and
yeah,
or win the feud in general.
yeah. This is out of this whole card. This is probably the match I care about the least. I think.
Yes.
See, yeah, because we have a couple more matches that are. I mean, it's not that the match will be bad necessarily. It's just that we saw it at SummerSlam. We saw it like a month and a half ago, maybe. Not even that. It wasn't even that long. Less than a month ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so going into our tag team title match, we have Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins versus Cesaro and Sheamus. So Shield reunited essentially, or at least two of them, 2/3 reunion, reunited. It was kind of wanted Roman Reigns to come out at the or have the Shield help Roman Reigns win the title at SummerSlam. I thought that would have been interesting.
Yeah, but the thing is, Roman Reigns is just so toxic right now that I
Yeah,
think the last
it's
thing they want to do is.
even if you put them with two people that like even if you give people like a reason to like him, like oh he was in the Shield and the Shield was cool, and Roman Reigns I guess was like when he was in the Shield he was still I mean he was protected by Ambrose and Rollins
Yeah.
essentially, but he even when Roman Reigns broke off as like a single star initially, like that summer after the Shield broke up, he wasn't terrible. It was when he came back after that injury where they're like, all right, this guy just came back from injury. He's going to be the new face of the company, and then that's when like 2015 is when all this kind of like negativity started with him.
Yeah, so I think that it's just Roman Reigns is just like he's so toxic that no matter who you put him next to, you're gonna get booed. So I think they just
Yeah,
want to
like
keep
I said,
him
when he
low.
won the Royal Rumble and The Rock came out, The Rock even got booed for that.
Yeah,
So
so
it
they
was like, if The Rock can't help you, I mean, I don't know.
no one can
Pretty
pretty.
much at this point. Or I mean, I don't know if there's anybody in WWE that's like still like even partly under contract that could help him. I'm not sure, but
Stone Cold is the only person that I can think of that could maybe have the star power to overcome the boos, but even then, like it's a small chance.
yeah,
I
because like I said, if the Rock couldn't do it, and I see Stone Cold and the Rock as being fairly much like on the same level.
Yeah,
That if the Rock can't do it, I don't think Stone Cold will be able to do it either. I think Stone Cold might have a little bit better of a chance, but with that being said, we're going into our tag team title match. So we have Ambrose and Rollins against Cesaro and Sheamus. Really like that the Shield is back or partially back,
yeah.
or that they like had that whole period of time where they're like, all right, are we a team now? Or are we not? And then they would be like, it'd be like yes, no, and then eventually they like reformed and then
It was
won
good.
the
It was good storytelling. The
yeah, and
whole
then they won the titles at SummerSlam, which was so now we have them facing off against Cesaro and Sheamus. This is a rematch, right? Because I think they wanted it from them.
Yes, this is a rematch. Now, we haven't really talked about what happened at SummerSlam because we don't do recap shows most of the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe like we might do like I think we did. Have we done one or two? Maybe I think we did one WrestleMania and one Royal Rumble where it
yeah,
was just the one we talked about with Roman Reigns.
yeah. So the thing is, the Shield and Sheamus and Cesaro put on such an incredible match at SummerSlam. Both tag team matches on that night were just absolutely off the walls incredible. This match was really good, the Shield and Sheamus and Cesaro match. So my expectation is that this match is going to be just as good. Um, the prediction here is real easy. It's Reigns or Rollins and Ambrose. I think there's no doubt in anyone's mind that they're going to win.
Yeah, I don't see because it's they broke up in 2014. Took them like 2.5 or 3.5 years to reform. I don't see them losing the titles that they won just less than a month ago at not a big pay per view. I mean, it's not that this isn't a big pay per view, but it's not one of like the pillar pay per views that they. It's not a WrestleMania, it's not a SummerSlam or a Royal Rumble or anything like that.
Yeah. So here's the thing though. Let me tell you. TLC. When is that coming up?
I think December, or it was December last year. I don't know if, and it
Oh,
also
I
depends
think
on what time of like what the schedule is because I don't know if it's going to be a Raw pay per view or a
yeah.
SmackDown pay per view.
So it looks like it's October 22nd. So
Oh, they
here's
moved it from the yeah because it was
yeah.
December the last few years.
So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that
Yeah, because we have
Ambrose.
Hell in a Cell's coming up next, I think,
Yeah.
and that's a SmackDown pay per view. So TLC will probably be a Raw pay per view, with
Yeah.
Survivor Series being a joint pay per view.
Yeah. So I think that Ambrose and Rollins win this match at No Mercy. Then at TLC, we get a triple threat TLC match between Rollins, Ambrose, Sheamus, and Cesaro, and who else besides the innovators of TLC, the returning Hardy Boys.
That would be cool.
That I think that would just be absolutely amazing. I don't know how you have a pay-per-view called TLC and not have the Hardy Boys in a TLC match. Um,
Yeah, because
so
they were in the first two big
yeah,
ones essentially.
at
And this,
WrestleMania, what was it, 15? I think.
well, there was one that was like I think one of them was at SummerSlam in like 2000, I think, and then
Oh,
the
yes.
next one was WrestleMania 17 from like 2001,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
that's the big one where you had Edge, or Jeff Hardy hanging from the title, and then Edge spearing him off of the ladder like into the mat.
Yeah. So I think this one's pretty easy for me. I see the Reigns, Ambrose and Rollins winning, and then moving forward to a TLC match, including the Hardy Boys and Sheamus and Cesaro at TLC.
All right, cool. Yeah, I can go in with that as well. That sounds like it'd be like an awesome triple threat match. Or if they want to even throw another team in there, they can. But I think
Yeah, like you
three
could throw
is.
Gallows and Anderson in there if you wanted to.
Yeah, I
Um,
think three teams is generally the most that they want to do with those, just because it's with like 8 people in the ring, it's like just chaotic.
yeah,
However, at TLC at WrestleMania 17, it was Dudley's, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian, and then each um, team had a like essentially like a third member that ran in and like interfered. So I think like Spike Dudley came out and Lita came out. And I think Rhino was helping Edge and Christian at one point. So you could easily throw like a fourth team in there if you wanted to.
yeah.
All right, so now we're going to move into our next match. Let me bring it up here. We have John Cena versus Roman Reigns, which we've always said we don't bet against John Cena, but
But also never
maybe
bet against Roman Reigns.
maybe I don't know what they're trying to do. If they have John Cena lose, I could be like, okay, let's try to make Roman Reigns seem more legit. He beat John Cena, and John Cena is like one of the more dominant or most dominant wrestlers in like recent like history for WWE. And Roman Reigns beat him. He beat the Undertaker. He beat John Cena. He should be the number one contender and all this other stuff. I can see the WWE trying to do something like that.
Yeah. Have you seen any of the promos between these two?
I saw the one where Roman Reigns couldn't remember how to do a promo.
Yeah, all of the promos between these two, like these segments between John Cena and Roman Reigns, to me, have been some of the most entertaining WWE content I've seen in years. Years, Mike. These have been so good. Basically, what it is it's like John Cena was lurking on the Squared Circle subreddit and just seeing what everybody is talking about regarding Roman Reigns, and he just channeled the voice of the internet and just basically has been going off on Roman Reigns, saying, "You are getting everything. You're the corporate golden boy. You kind of suck. You can't talk at the promos." It's just been phenomenal. How?
Of course, though, John Cena is probably not being as like vitriolic as the internet, but he's channeling
Yeah,
it essentially.
I mean, he has been pretty harsh. Now, what's weird is like roll the clock back a few years, and you could be saying the same exact things about John Cena. Although, from a general perspective, I think that John Cena um, is far and away better than Roman Reigns. Um,
Oh yeah.
Roman,
And I'm not a huge fan of Cena. I mean, I like him more than I did. Like I think 3 years ago was like where it was like at like the not boiling point, but it was at like its like highest like
yeah,
because I'm like okay, he lost the world title to Randy Orton, or they did that match where they unified them. He lost that. He won the title at was it Money in the Bank that year because they had two Money in the Bank matches. They had the contract match where Seth Rollins got the suitcase. Then they had a world title match where it was both titles. He had that, and then I was just like, okay, so we just gave Cena the title again to have him lose it to Brock Lesnar. And then he didn't have it for a while, and then he won it again from AJ Styles. Was it last year, I think?
yeah.
So yeah, so now he is at that 15, or is he tied with Flair now? I think he's
He's
tied.
tied with Ric Flair.
Right.
Now you're right. And when we first started the show, I was in the same boat with you. Um, I felt that John Cena was bottlenecking the stars, preventing really good people from getting the spotlight they deserve. But I have kind of, and I've said this before, pretty much since he started doing the U.S. Open Challenge, I really kind of appreciated, and it basically happened when John Cena took a step back from the main event scene.
Yeah.
Um,
Because he went from the main event scene to like the not really the undercard, but like the upper part of like the second,
yeah,
like the subcard.
like the upper mid card, and he made it seem so important. To me, at that when he was doing the Open Challenge, the U.S. Championship was more important than the World Heavyweight Champion, and I think Seth Rollins was a champion at that time.
Yeah,
Um,
because I think Cena and Rollins both won the title because Seth Rollins cashed in at Money or WrestleMania 2 years ago,
yeah, oh, and that's
and
when
then he beat
he won.
Rusev.
Yeah, yeah,
at WrestleMania. I mean, I don't know if Rusev lost the U.S. title before that, but I think that's where he lost it to Cena, and then Cena did the
yeah.
challenge where he
So
brought up like Sami Zayn and all these other stars to like put on really good matches.
yeah, so regardless of like what you think about John Cena the character, and regardless of how you feel about his place on the card, and the history of him burying people, I think at this point it's hard to deny his talent. He put on the match of the year this year with AJ Styles, so far, the best
Yeah,
match that's happened. So I think you can't really deny his talent. He's been giving amazing promos. So is his character a little stale? Yeah, sure. No one can argue that. But you can't deny his talent, and I think he's better than Roman Reigns. I think he's put on better matches consistently than Roman Reigns has. Um, so it's kind of interesting to see the dynamic between these two because, like I said, roll back the clock. The same things John Cena is saying about Roman Reigns, you could say those about John Cena. So there's like truth in this story, and it's honest, yet there's a layer of, well, couldn't you say that about him? There's so many different facets to this feud, and I absolutely love it. That being said, as much as I dislike Roman Reigns, and I've kind of been wishy-washy on Roman Reigns. There was a time where I really disliked him. There was a time where I liked him, but now I'm back to disliking him. I think he's going to win this match because what sense from a booking perspective does it make to have Roman Reigns, or John Cena rather, beat someone who is supposed to be the top star of the company? Like, where do you, if you're Roman Reigns and you lose to John Cena, where do you go from there? Nowhere but down, really.
yeah, and also John Cena has definitely, like you said, has kind of like taken a step back where he's not working as many, not wrestling as many matches. He shows up, does a few promos. I'm not gonna say he's like at the level like of like The Rock yet, where he would
Oh,
basically show up, do a match, and be gone for several months. But it's been a while since he's like had a match or like a big match, I guess. And yeah, if you lose, it's like kind of like what CM Punk said about losing to the Undertaker, where at WrestleMania, I think it was 29, he's like, okay, well, if I lose, I'm back on Raw the next day. The Undertaker is, back in Texas or goes home, and where does that leave me? As far like I said, essentially what you're saying about if Cena wins, that does nothing for Roman Reigns.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
I
even though I think fans would probably like that, and be like, oh, Roman Reigns is at the bottom of the card, good. But also, though, you still want to have him doing something.
Yeah, I think it would be an awesome moment for the fans if John Cena won. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think from a smart booking perspective, it makes more sense to have Roman Reigns win. And this Roman Reigns has been acting a lot more heelish lately. I wouldn't consider him a heel, um, per se, but he's definitely been acting more heel-ish. And I think if you have him beat John Cena, this is just another like notch that he could put in his heel belt, so to speak.
Yeah, he could be. He's like, well, it's like I beat Undertaker and took over his yard. I beat John Cena as well, and he's like, then he could be like, who else is here that can like challenge me essentially?
Yeah, so I think that he can use this as ammunition for his heel character. So as much as I want John Cena to win, I just don't see it happening, and I don't see this feud extending either. I think this is probably just a one-off thing. Um,
Yeah, I can go with that because I mean, it makes. I would like to see Cena win. It's weird for me to say that, but I would like to see Cena win. But I know that like if he does, it's not really going to. It's not going to elevate him anymore.
yeah,
I mean, what's Cena got left to do? He's tied the record for the most world title reigns with Ric Flair. He's beaten. He's like won the Royal Rumble, done a bunch of like pretty much everything he can do at this point. Roman Reigns still has stuff to do, so I think this, like you said, he could use this as ammunition into why he deserves to be maybe like the number one contender or get a title match or something like that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I just think Roman Reigns is gonna win.
All right, and then moving into our final match, we have our Universal Championship match with Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman. And Braun Strowman came pretty close to winning at SummerSlam. He laid out Lesnar, and then Lesnar, of course, came back and won the match. I don't know if they're ready to take the title off of him yet. I could see this going to maybe like like a double countout maybe, where there
Yeah,
is no winner, but Brock Lesnar still has the title. I mean,
yeah,
I think if they were to um give it to Strowman, maybe they would do it at a bigger pay per view, like not like a WrestleMania, but maybe Survivor Series or Royal Rumble. But then also though that means having a championship or a champion and a championship that really aren't being defended, like like as often as they maybe should be.
yeah.
That's the weird thing with Brock Lesnar. It's like he's really great in the ring, like awesome to watch. It's definitely like a quality over quantity thing with him, where you get like one really good match and then you don't have four other matches that are just all right.
Yeah.
But then if
Yeah.
they're not going to give it to Strowman for a while, it just is a title that is pretty much like undefended most of the time.
Yeah, and that's the weird. It's kind of like the two sides of the coin. It's cool to have Brock Lesnar as a champion, and he's definitely an attraction, and he pretty much always puts on fantastic matches. Um, but at the same time, it's like you want to see the championship on the show. You know?
Or I
Uh,
want to see other potential like championship matchups. I want to see Braun Strowman if he wins it defend it against maybe Roman Reigns at some point. I mean, he's already fought Roman Reigns, but defend it against Roman Reigns, defend it against any of these other maybe big casts at some point.
yeah.
That kind of
Um,
thing.
so I'm in the same boat with you. I would love to see Braun Strowman get the title here. Um, and it's weird because I've said before on this very show, Braun Strowman sucks, and I still think that's true. But I will not deny that the things that he has done are entertaining as hell. That thing with the ambulance, awesome. The thing where he crashed the Roman Reigns into the ambulance, awesome. Where he tipped the ambulance, also good. The role he played in that Fatal Four Way at SummerSlam, fantastic. As much as I think Roman or Braun Strowman is green, isn't really good on the mic, kind of still needs to, he needs to get his sea legs in the ring. As much as I think that, I cannot deny that I have been quite entertained by what he's done. So I think it would be cool for him to have the championship, because number one, that gets the championship on the show more. There's a lot of potential, matchups that I think could be exciting. I think you could have Finn Balor versus Braun Strowman. And that's like who's the guy that goes up against the Goliath? David versus Goliath. That story, that would be cool. But unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think if you have um, someone take the title off of Brock Lesnar, it's not happening at No Mercy. And to
Yeah.
me, this is the same thing that is in the John Cena and Roman Reigns match. Like that's a WrestleMania match. What? I don't know why that's happening at No Mercy. I'll take it, but it feels like they're missing an opportunity to make
And
more spectacle.
WWE of course could still do that. Maybe you keep the title on Brock Lesnar up until WrestleMania and you have Strowman win the Royal Rumble or something like that.
Yeah, you could do that. I just don't think they're going to take the title off of Brock Lesnar at No Mercy. That just
Yeah,
seems
not at like I said. I said the earliest I could see them taking it off of him would be at something like SummerSlam or not SummerSlam at Survivor Series
yeah,
because that's
yeah.
the next big pay per view because that's the next joint pay per view. Then you have the Royal Rumble, then you have WrestleMania, and then you have SummerSlam. Um, I could also see this going again to keep everybody looking like strong. I don't see there being a clear winner. I think it'd be like a double count out or like a no contest or something like that,
Yeah,
where
because
they're both out like maybe they're both outside the ring, they're fighting. They can't regain control. Referees come out to try to like get them back in the ring. They knock the referees down, and then they're just like, "All right, screw it, match is over."
yeah, that would be good because like when you had the match with Lesnar and Samoa Joe, Samoa Joe lost clean, but he can do that. And I think Samoa Joe can look good in a loss. You know who I don't think can look good in a loss? Braun Strowman, because that's not his character. His character is that he is a monster among men. He's dominant. So I don't think you want to give him that clean loss. So I think you're right. I think there's maybe some interference that happens. Um, there is maybe, like you said, things just get way out of control and the refs have to stop it. So I think having a no contest is the right call here because I don't think you want to put this loss on Braun Strowman just yet.
And you don't want to take you don't want to take the title off of Brock Lesnar at a not a marquee pay-per-view, essentially.
Yeah, because like with Braun Strowman, you've been building him up and building him up and building him up, and if you give him that loss now, it's similar to if Roman Reigns were to lose to John Cena. Like, where does he go? Does he go to the Intercontinental Championship scene? Well, you've been building him up as this contender. That would be seen as a step down.
Right.
So he's kind of in this strange position that I think taking a loss would just be more detrimental to him, because you don't get, with Braun Strowman, you can't get the benefit of that. Oh yeah, he lost, but look how good he looked in losing. I don't think that would apply to his
right.
character.
Yeah, because ended up taking the pin. I forgot who ended up taking the pin in the SummerSlam match.
I thought it was Samoa Joe.
It could have been, or yeah, because I think you didn't have him take the loss. So basically, in a fatal four-way or a triple threat, Brock Lesnar still won, but technically it wasn't Braun Strowman that got pinned.
Yeah, I'm gonna check because I don't recall.
Yeah, neither do I actually. But again, though, if it's a one-on-one match, you want to have them both look good, and then you don't do that by having him get pinned, essentially.
Yeah, so it doesn't say. It just says Brock Lesnar defeated. Oh, Roman Reigns took the pin, didn't he?
Oh, he may have.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Right, so that works. So, but in that situation, you kind of protect the other wrestlers. You protected Strowman because he didn't take the pin. But in a one-on-one situation, if he takes the pin, it's definitely going to like cut his momentum a little bit, or maybe quite a lot. So I think, like you said, we have it to where it's like double count out, or the referees just stop the match because it gets too chaotic or something like that.
Yeah, or even I think interference is a good way to extend the feud, because if we're coming up to TLC next, like that's a perfect place for a triple threat match. Although they just had the multi-man match at SummerSlam, so you may not want to do another multi-man match.
And that's even if the Universal title will even be like on the card, because there's months will go by where there is no World or Universal title match.
And something that the WWE has absolutely done before is in these championship matches with Brock Lesnar, you have someone come in, interfere, and then the feud becomes okay. So let's say, as an example, Samoa Joe interferes, and I'm not saying he will, but I'm just using his name. So let's say Samoa Joe interferes with the match. Well, then coming out of No Mercy, you've got Brock Lesnar. He goes home and rests and does whatever. But now the feud is Braun Strowman and Samoa Joe. So he could feud with
Braun Strowman is like, you interfered in my match. I would have won that if it wasn't for you. We're now gonna fight.
Right, and so you can have that extend the that would be the story coming out of it. So I agree with you. I think that there's some sort of chicanery that happens, and the match is a no contest.
Right,
or not necessarily no contest, but it doesn't end. I don't want to say how it will end, but I will predict how it doesn't end, and I don't think Braun Strowman is going to lose cleanly. So I'll make that my prediction. Braun Strowman is getting pinned.
He is getting pinned or not getting pinned?
Is not. I don't think he's
not getting pinned. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's like going to be some kind of thing like outside interference. They just can't get control of the match, or like it's a count out, or like they both go through like a table at the same time, and then it's like the 10 count goes off, but then they're like, all right, who wins in that situation? Obviously, like Brock would retain, but Braun wouldn't be like submitting or getting pinned.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I'm gonna save these results, and those are going to be our predictions. Again, I want to thank Aaron for coming on and talking wrestling.
Hey, it is no problem. This is one of my favorite things to do every month, so it is my pleasure.
Cool. And why don't you tell people about your comic book podcast?
If you like pop culture, comic books, movies, TV shows, come check out the Comic Book Show. We haven't recorded in about a week or so because scheduling, but we did. Our last episode was a review of the live-action Death Note movie. Spoiler alert, it was trash. So we talked about that. with our Marvel artist friend Will Robson. So if you want to hear us talk about that, we should be recording another episode this Thursday, that's tomorrow night, where we're going to discuss the ending of Secret Empire and some other awesome news. So if you like comics, you like pop culture, please check us out. You can go to epiccomicshow.com or just search for The Comic Book Show wherever you get your podcasts.
Cool, and we'll have a link, obviously, to the podcast in the description for this video. So we're looking forward to No Mercy. Gonna see if we get any of our predictions right, or hopefully we get them right. But WWE, even when we predict these things, usually doesn't do what we suggest. So,
I don't. It's
and
fun
they don't
to
have to, but
right. It's fun to get them right, but as long as I'm entertained, I don't care if I'm right, wrong, or which way is up.
sounds good. So that's gonna do it for this episode. Again, I want to thank everybody for listening, and take care.
All right, take it easy, guys.